Welcome to Sewing Chatter. I'm Kristen. We're looking at some of the makes that I have done this week, and to be honest, they're a little all over the place. We started off with needing some items for an 80s night. I'll show you a picture in a minute. And my oldest daughter got to go to an 80s night party, and of course, you need all the extras that go with it. Now, I don't have the leg warmers here, but she made the leg warmers herself. She was very proud of herself. I was high stress. Straighten out, stop, you're going the wrong way. I'm definitely a little bit controlling when it comes to that. I'm trying really hard to, be relaxed and help her learn to sew and just engage with it. But I'm also like, let's do it right. So we're working on this. But she did an awesome job on the leg warmers, and they looked really cute. We also, of course, had to have some fancy I don't know what they're called, hand warmers. And of course, the ones we found from the 80s pictures were the mesh, fabulous ones. I told her I'm not buying mesh for this. So instead, we settled for these. This is a fun pattern from Winterwear Designs. I believe if you sign up and join their Facebook group, you can get a code to get these for free. They are way better when they're done in the proper size. I've made a pair for my mom before, and they fit really nicely. But I had to do some fancy fiddling to make this work for my daughter, because obviously she's got much smaller hands. And I didn't finish everything because I went, this is a one time wear, you will likely never wear them again. So sadly, I don't have a picture of them on her, but I thought they turned out really cute. And of course, admittedly, there was no sewing involved in this, but the oh so ever delightful bright and glowing headband. Like, so cute. There was also a scrunchie in there, but as you can see, she's wearing it. It is gone. I looked everywhere and I realized, wait a second, she's off wearing it, which is awesome. I'm always excited when the kids actually want to wear and use the stuff that I've made for them. The pattern for the scrunchie is actually from Made for Mermaids pattern company. They have a great tutorial, and it's a freebie on their site as well. Really good stuff. So yeah, this project, the 80s project, did not get my full energy. Obviously, there's unfinished seams. I didn't finish these at all. This is just a cutting. The leg warmers, we didn't even bother sewing over and hemming the ends, because I figured for a one-time wear, nobody's going to see that anyways. So that, I feel like I've come a long way. At one time, I would have had to do it all, but I'm working on this. So that was for the 80s night party. Well, then I thought, Valentine's Day is coming. I've got some cute fabric, as you can see, and my daughters, when they saw me buy it, were like, we need Valentine's Day stuff out of this. Well, I tried. And I think it had great potential. The pattern I used is City Park Tea by Hey June. And it's a great pattern. I've used it for my daughter many times, my oldest. But I think the fabric was a fail. It seemed like the right weight. It felt right. And then I put it particularly on my youngest, who's quite narrow. And this is what the sleeves did. They wouldn't go down. They just stuck straight out. And honestly, on her she's got a really tall, really narrow body, and it looked pretty funny, to be perfectly honest. It was cute, and I think it's gonna make a great sleep shirt, which is fun. Not to mention, I don't know what's with patterns. Maybe it's just me and I need to use my judgment more often, but I always find that the neck bands, it doesn't matter what pattern I use, are always too short or too long. And I know that there's a theory about it and you need to stretch it and test it yourself, but sometimes you just want to use the pattern pieces, cut out the neckband and just put it on. I've yet to have a situation where that's foolproof. It never happens, and I know that. But I was hoping on a kid's pattern that I could just whip it up. But considering how stiff this fabric is, the neckband was quite stretchy, and it kind of does that lovely bubble forward. I'm wondering if I'd made it narrower, if it wouldn't have done that quite as much as well. But that is a live and learn experience. That one, I was really disappointed in that one. I was excited. I think it looks better on my older daughter. I don't have both of them here because she's older and who knows where that shirt has ended up. It's amazing how in just a couple days things just disappear. So, yeah, But the other problem with my youngest is that because she's tall and narrow, she's actually technically too small for this pattern. But I'm finding that it's really hard to find a pattern for her because the other ones are too small, like they don't actually come in a length that fits her. Because she's generally a size 8 in kids' clothes, but they're baggy. But it's really tricky to find a good kids pattern that has the flexibility to do length with the right width that she needs. Because what I love about this pattern is it is a junior pattern. It starts at size 6 and goes up to, I believe, size 16. Don't quote me on that, I'll check. And so often that size range is missed in a lot of patterns because it's really a tricky spot because we've got girls developing in different ways. And I'm finding that my one daughter is quite tall for her age, and she outgrew the kids' patterns very early. And so when she's still in elementary and you're going on to junior, like the adult patterns and extra small, they don't have the right shape. They don't fit quite right. So that's what I love about this pattern. But unfortunately for my younger daughter, she has some more growing to do to actually fit into a nice, well-fitting pattern. And I know there's some tweaking I can do, but it'll take a little bit to get that quite right. Never sure how to adjust the sleeves. I can adjust the body okay, but adjusting the sleeves is a little trickier for me. As well this week, I made a birthday present. Was there anything more stressful than a birthday present? Because then you give it to them, and then you hold your breath saying, I hope you like it, even though you know that they can't return it and they'll never say anything bad, even if they hate it. So high stress, probably shouldn't have done it. I don't typically do it. I don't do a lot of handmade gifts anymore, unless it's for people who specifically requested things. Like I've got some younger nephews who requested fancy underwear, so they got underwear. And my daughters get underwear and undershirts, and they get whatever they've been asking for. But I don't usually give it to extended family. So this was a little stressful, and for anybody outside the family. But I made something that my daughters are now begging me for. It's called a pocket pillow. Obviously, I don't have the original here. It has now been gifted. But I was so excited about the fabrics that I found. I went shopping at Fabricland, and they had some great clearance deals. I think they were trying to get rid of all their winter stock and get ready for spring, which is fabulous. And I got this really cute flannel, which is unicorns, and little girl needs a unicorn. I was very excited with how well this minky fabric coordinated with the flannel. It's hard to see, but the crowns are almost exactly the right color to match with this fabric. And let's say my girls are desperately wanting them, because then you can carry around your books in the pocket or whatever else you need to take with you. And it's got a handle on the top, as you can see from the photo. And yeah, it got me excited. So I will post a link to the pattern that I used for that. It was a free tutorial online. But one thing that I did not take into account when I was following the pattern, because technically you should be able to do the exact same size of cover, cutting out your fabric, as the size of the pillow. So if it's a 20 by 20, you cut out 20 inches by 20 inches. And so it makes it a little bit smaller once you use your seam allowance, and it should be, relatively fluffy. But what I did not take into account is this is an IKEA pillow form, 20 by 20, that I used. This is an 18 by 18 pillow form from Marshall's Fabric. Now, as you can see, one is much fluffier than the other, and that kind of messed with my numbers. Because really, look at that. This, you can do an 18 by 18. I think would work on this one. I gotta test it, but I'm pretty sure. Whereas this one, I tried to do a 20 by 20, but I had to take it in so much because you end up with those floppy corners that you're like, really? Can't you make it to fit? So I had to keep taking in the pillow cover size to make it fuller. And so now I'm wishing I'd used this pillow because it was a much fuller, much cozier one. But at the same time, this one I think could be quite cozy for snuggling in with, because it's really soft. Whereas this one, if you're wanting to put it, say, for looks, this one would hold a much firmer look to it. But yes, I wish I had processed that prior to working on this project, it would have saved me some time if I knew how much thinner the IKEA pillow was. Then I would have just taken it in a lot right at the beginning, as opposed to continuously like, why am I still taking this in? But, oh well, live and learn. We'll make adjustments when I make my girls some pillows. That is all we have for today. Thank you for joining me on Sewing Chatter. We will see you soon. Please click the link below to subscribe.